Well, students, today we are to discuss about the scope of environmental education. QC more than 25-6 days. I discuss with you about the goals of environmental education. On today's class is on the scope area, and with the help of the contents of this class, I hope your perception concerning to the concept of environmental education will be quite clear. At the same time, you will come to know the special importance or significance of environmental education from primary to university levels. And for discussing about the contents of this area, first of all, we are to understand the term scope so much well. Well, students, let us see the term scope first of all, so that our perception relating to the area of scope of environmental education becomes very clear. Once we try to understand the term scope, which is being faced by all of us always, we see that this term scope very simply means about the extent of the area or subject matter that something deals with or to which it is relevant. Means the extent of the area or subject matter, the extent of the area or subject matter that something deals with. The term scope basically means about. Now let us see the scope of environmental education. Let us come back to the second one. Thus, by knowing about the very meaning of the term scope, once we try to discuss about the scope of environmental education, we see that the scope of environmental education means about the extent of the area or subject matter that environmental education deals with or to which it is relevant for helping people or the students or the participants or the learners realize the importance or significance of the surrounding where we people are existing. For achieving prosperity means, friends, our prosperity has close link with the surrounding, means the properties of nature. We always are bound to depend on nature for our survival, for our prosperity. And surviving without any problem of unmanageable magnitude means we have to survive with many problems, but problems should not be unmanageable. We have to exist amidst manageable problems. And that's why the scope of environmental education basically deals with or to which it is relevant for helping people or the students or the participants or the learners realize the significance or importance or specialities of the surrounding where we are living in for achieving prosperity and surviving without any problem of unmanageable magnitude. Let us see the next one. This way, the scope of environmental education comprehensively, extensively means the areas it covers, it deals with. In a sense, such area is very wide, extensive, because once we are to discuss about the concept of environmental education, and once we are to explain the scope of environmental education, then certainly all the elements, resources and parameters of the surrounding are to be covered and discussed very systematically, and students or learners are to know everything else where they are existing peacefully, and they are, you see, involving in various works for the prosperity of their life, for the prosperity of their society, as well as for the prosperity of their own nation, and for the safety of the global social order. Environmental education, friends, encompasses or covers all the resources and the activities of man in the surrounding. Environment generally includes all the biological and non-biological units and things that surround a living organism. Because by uttering the term environment, we mean about the surrounding in totality. And by saying as environmental education, we mean about such education with the help of which our conception concerning to the surrounding and the resources, the properties of the surrounding and specialities of existence of the surrounding become so much clear. Let us see the next one. It means environmental education and environmental education covers the physical and biological surroundings and their interactions as well. Thus, the scope of environmental education relates to the physical and biological surroundings and their interaction. Such education encompasses or covers all the activities of man in the surrounding where man is living in. Environmental education includes all the components, all the factors and elements and aspects which are related with the existence of man and the world. If man is to exist, the world is to exist, friends. If the world doesn't exist, where man will exist, and other living as well as non-living resources and living organisms will exist. So there is interconnection between the existence of the world and the other living beings, organisms, things, and the non-living materials as well as resources of the universe. As the air, water and land, these are the three most important parameters of the total surrounding, constitute the environment. Means what are those most important elements which constitute the environment? Air is very much important element. Another most important element is water, and the third one is land. So friends, air, water and land, these are the most important three elements or parameters with the help of which the environment is being constituted. And therefore, environmental education discusses in detail about man's activities in these three areas. Particularly, environmental education discusses in detail about the activities of man in air, the activities of man in water, and the activities of man in land, means in the total surrounding. Let us see the next one. Thus, the prime aspects related to the scope of environmental education may be discussed as the given below. And here in this class today, simply two parameters are to be discussed, and other important parameters will be discussed in the coming classes. Let us see this one. The first one, the size and growth of human population. This is one of the spatial segments. This is one of the most important area, you see, with which the scope of environmental education has total connection or close relationship. The size and growth of human population is very much important because, you see, when there is the increasing trend of population of the global social order, it means that there is the increasing trend of pressure on the surrounding. So see what has happened by observing towards this photograph. You will come to know about the over pressure of the increased number of people throughout the world, throughout the nations of the world. So friends, for understanding environmental education, we have to understand about the significance of the size and growth of human population, because there should be balance between the growth and the capability of, bearing capability of the total surrounding. If the balance is lost, then problem arises and the problems become unmanageable. Next, this is the photograph. What happens because of the increasing number of size and growth of human population in the nations of the globe? This is the situation. See how the pressure is there. So friends, in air also, in water also, and in land also, in all the three basic elements of the environment, there is the pressure of overpopulation, the oversize of population and rapid growth of human population. And this is to be understood so much well for understanding environmental education. Why it is to be understood? Because why we are to decrease, why we are to reduce the size of population, and why we are to seek the rapid growth of population for the survival of the world where we are surviving. And it is well expressed that if the world does not survive, if the nature does not survive, man can survive. So friends, in the interest of the survival of nature and surrounding, at least we have to be much more concerned concerning to the size and growth of human population throughout the global social order. And by observing all these photographs, we can understand so much well how significant this area is. Let us see the next. Pollution is another area which is to be understood so much well. And that's why from primary level to university levels, environmental education has become one of the very important subjects of the syllabus. Pollution, air pollution you have heard, land pollution you have heard about, water pollution. And what has happened when there is the size is very unmanageable, the growth rate is very rapid, there is over pressure on land, water and air, the basic three most important segments of the total environment. And this has happened here, and many problems we are bound to encounter because of pollution. And pollution, the size and rapid growth of population has interlink. And that's why for understanding environmental education so much well, we have to understand the concept of pollution so much well as we have to realize the significance of the impact of pollution on all the three basic segments of the total environment, that is air, water and land. So thank you so much. 2 points we have discussed today. The other points just to discuss about the scope of environmental education will be discussed in the coming classes. At least you see these 2 points, and by observing towards the photographs, from your own understanding you try to write about the scope of environmental education. And I hope by realizing the significance or importance of these 2 points, you will certainly be able to express or able to write in the examination so much well, or express your views in systematic way. Thank you so much for today. The other points will be discussed in the coming class or coming classes. Thank you so much again.